We begin this program in New Zealand, where 40 people have been confirmed killed and more than 20 wounded after shootings at two mosques in the city of Christchurch, that's on the country's South Island. The first attack happened at the Al Noor Mosque, the second at the Linwood Mosque. Eyewitnesses describe people fleeing in terror during Friday prayers. 3 men and a woman have been apprehended. Police say they've defused a number of IEDs, improvised explosive devices, found after the attacks. Authorities have warned people to avoid mosques across the country and for those mosques to keep their doors closed. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said it was one of New Zealand's darkest days. This is what she had to say at a press conference just moments ago.
It is clear that this can now only be described as a terrorist attack. From what we know, it does appear to have been well planned. 2 explosive devices attached to suspects' vehicles have now been found and they have been disarmed. There are currently 4 individuals who have been apprehended, but 3 are connected to this attack who are currently in custody.
Let's go live now to DW's Samantha Early joining us in Christchurch. Samantha, we heard the Prime Minister there calling this an act of terrorism. What else did she have to say in her press conference?
That's right. She did call it unequivocally an act of terrorism, and she emphasised a lot that New Zealand was chosen because it is a place where diversity and inclusiveness and all those sorts of values are strong. She was very keen to repeat that. She said this is not an enclave for that kind of ideology. By that she means, ideology of white supremacy, of wanting to inflict injury on certain groups of people. She was very, very keen to express that. New Zealand was targeted not because this sort of ideology is supported here, but because it's not.
Is the police operation still ongoing? Are suspects still at large? We already have 3 men in custody and a woman as well. What do we know about them and their possible motives?
Well, the one we know about the most is it's been confirmed there is a 28-year-old Australian man as the, I suppose, main suspect, and the others are also have been apprehended, but we don't know too much more about them at this stage. And they also cannot rule out that there might be more people involved in this, and that's why the police are still urging caution.
Okay, Christchurch was on lockdown. Is that lockdown been lifted? Or schools, for example, were told to shut their doors?
That's right. Yeah, that lockdown has been gradually being lifted over the past couple of hours. School children have been able to be picked up from school, as well as the hospital lockdown has stopped in a lot of public buildings as well. People are slowly being able to make their way home, but authorities are encouraging people to just stay home and not travel if they don't need to. So the feeling in the city is still definitely very tense, and there's a lot of concern there.
Okay, let's hear now from 2 eyewitnesses who were at one of the mosques during that shooting.
And he have helmet, and he given the glasses, and he's a dress of the military, and he's a gun, machine gun of the M16 Plug 1, and it's a seat belt of the another gun, bullet, and he passed. I say, hey, what are you doing? And not talk me. He looking and not talk me. He starting shooting. And the people of the changing the shoes and the shooting, and me, I'm running. That's after that he go the inside and he go one by one. Everybody killing, and some people died.
First we hide behind the cars and under the cars, and then when we see that firing is still on, we try to jump the fence, and then we hide the next house to the mosque on this side, and fighting was on and on,
Samantha, 40 people have been confirmed killed. More than 20 have been injured. We understand police are using all their resources to get officers out onto the streets. How about emergency services? How are they coping in Christchurch right now?
There's been a lot of praise from the Mayor of Christchurch and from the citizens of Christchurch as to how the emergency services have coped. You'll have to remember the police were also looking out for the climate march, which was happening in Cathedral Square in the city, quite nearby, while this all started unfolding. So yeah, a huge police response all over Christchurch, and yeah, the Mayor especially commending officers for their bravery there. You'll also know that Christchurch had a significant earthquake 8 years ago, so these response systems are quite well practiced, I guess, but it's also yeah, another trauma for the residents.
But what can you tell us about Christchurch's Muslim community? Have they been the subject of attacks before today?
Nothing like this. Nothing at all like this. And lots of people are very shocked that Muslims would be targeted here in New Zealand. There have been reports of racist attacks, people, but nothing on this scale, and certainly it's very shocking. The Muslim population here in New Zealand is roughly just over 1% of the total population, so it's not a very large community, but it is quite a diverse community. And from the latest census data, you see that about a quarter of people who listed themselves as Muslim in New Zealand were born here in New Zealand, and the other 3/4 from the Pacific Islands, Asia, Middle East and Africa. So a really diverse community, a small community, and one that the rest of New Zealand is really wanting to show solidarity with at the moment.
Okay, police are getting all their resources out onto the streets right now. How long will this ongoing police operation last? Is it centered in Christchurch, or is it also taking place in other urban centers across the country?
It is, yeah, really a nationwide operation. So the Prime Minister has said our alert level for terrorism has been raised from low to high, and that is to enable absolutely all those resources to be used throughout the country as they're needed. So they've really stepped things up to the highest level I think that they can, and yeah, we'll definitely be seeing a strong police operation, I think, continue for quite some time. It's hard to tell. Yeah, we have had reports of potentially some situations developing in the past few moments in other cities too. So we will keep a close eye on that.
Okay, other situations developing in other cities. Do we know anything else about that, or are details slowly coming in on that?
Details are slowly coming in, but it appears that the train station at Britomart, which is in Auckland, the most populous city up in the North Island, has been evacuated, and the police are responding to a situation there. But it's unclear what that situation is at this stage, or if it has anything to do with what's happened in Christchurch.
Okay, we'll find out more about that in the hours ahead. For now, DW's Samantha Early in Christchurch. Thanks so very much.
You're welcome.